Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
What's going on, Bird Gang? We're back for another episode of Cardinals Corner. Yes, myself, Tyler Drake, and Lauren Koval right back here in the studio once more ahead of rookie minicamp, because that's really our first big next step in the off-season schedule. Wouldn't it be, Lauren?
It's rapidly approaching, and I've got to say I'm finally excited that we can sit here and talk about us seeing guys out on the field again for the first time.
Even if it's only T-shirts and shorts and a lot of stretching and a lot of... But it's still something.
Don't care.
But
it's still football. It's still football. There's football players doing football-related activities out on the field.
Football-related activities. Great way to put it. Yes. So before we get all the way into minicamp, which is kicking off, I mean, we're going to start talking to guys on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all that good stuff. Before we get to that stretch, let's go into some questions for these rookies, for the rookie class in general, and kind of give some people a little bit of a roadmap before we finally get to on the field rookie action. So I wrote a story, ArizonaSports.com. We're going to go off of these. Got a question from our buddy Kellen Olson, who has been a fill-in for the show before.
Yes.
And has a lot of work himself with Suns coverage and some D-backs coverage I'm seeing too. So shout out to Kellen. Keep working hard. But yeah, let's get right into it. So let's start question number 1. And honestly, I think this is kind of an easy one to start with because we answered this last week. Which late round Cardinal is going to be, who has the better chance at starting in week 1?
Cody Simon.
Cody Simon. And if you want to go back and look at our recap last week, you'll get the full inside picture there. But I think we both landed on the dude fills a need right away, Mike Backer. The amount of good things that Monty Osfort talked about from the mental side of things when it comes to wearing the green dot and knowing and how to get that team into the formation, the quarterback of the defense. He's done that at Ohio State. He won the Block O Award, which is a similar thing to what LSU's number 18 is. So just a high-level football IQ dude that probably should be on the field sooner than later.
And a guy who at Ohio State has plenty of experience playing in these higher caliber games against some of the higher caliber talent that we've seen. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast, Monty's interest in drafting from Power 5 conferences, specifically the Big Ten. A lot of the guys are from the Big Ten, specifically Ohio State, and now Will Johnson adding Michigan into the pond there. But that in mind, Simon knows what's expected of him coming in already. Yes, you're a later draft pick, but you come into a room where you've got a lot of flexibility and you've got a lot of moving parts. And we're going to hear from him dressing the media for the, following the draft. They always hop on a little Zoom conference call and they talk to all the members of the media. But we're going to hear from him for the first time now at the end of this week. And that will be where we can kind of gauge, does he have all of those JG characteristics? I think, how many times does he use the word violence during a press conference?
Yes, or buckets.
Yeah, either or. They're interchangeable.
But I think just from the little time that we got to talk with him after he got drafted, he really did. I mean, you could tell the guy was very... almost sounded cerebral of just like he knew like what we were going to ask him, and it was like, yeah, that's the best instinct to have, is mental game. Like, you've got to have that. And just how he answered it kind of gave me that JG-ism of like, all right, this guy fits the bill of what they want. Like, I think he's going to be a factor. If not in the defense, maybe special teams. Maybe that's where he gets his foot in the door. Maybe a Dennis Gardeck type trajectory. But yeah, I think eventually he's going to be the guy next to Mac. And I mean, nothing against Mac. He's going to do his thing, being a hybrid guy, pass rush. But you've got to have somebody, I think, solidified in the middle, green dot, know he's going to play. And that's the other thing. Can he play every snap? Because that's going to be something they have to look at.
And that's something that they've lacked at that position in the past, especially with all the moving parts of injuries and how has the defense totally played as a whole unit. I mean, last year was the first time it felt like we saw a bit of that, even though they lost aspects of their defense before the season had even started. So we didn't even see the full vision of Monty Ossenfort last year on the defense. This year, if everybody can stay healthy, should be the first time that we see what they want.
And I think really looking at that, when you look at the competition right in front of them, it's Akeem Davis-Gaither and Michael Walker. Those are the two veterans, but they really don't have a ton of consistent starting reps. So the door is very much open, in my opinion, there. And that's why he's got to get the number 1 rank as the dude who's going to start week 1, potentially.
Yes.
All right. You want to go offense or you want to stick with defense a little bit more?
We can stick with defense a little bit more.
Okay. Do you think Jordan Burch will be inserted into a trick play this year? And where would it be?
Ooh. They love to run something fun like that. And you can see on his college tape, like, that's what he's used to doing. That's definitely part of his game. We haven't seen this Cardinals team do a lot of that. So I've got to lean no.
Ooh.
But
Okay.
I hope that you say yes, because I really want to know how you look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna. You look at the tape, and Aaron Maloney sent it to us. Program director sent me this video. I know she sent it to you too, of of this guy running a fake punt, just looking like a running back, like scary looking. Like I would be afraid to be in front of that dude running full steam.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you? And I think Jeff Rodgers has that creative mindset that you could do that. I can't. Jonathan Ward, remember that crazy punt?
Yeah.
Why not throw something crazy like that out there? I think Burch can do it. And I think I did hear he had a little bit of Wildcat quarterback in his blood at Oregon too. So it'll be really interesting to see how they use his abilities, because I think he's got his work cut out for him in the outside linebackers room, because there's a lot of competition in there. Josh Sweat, Zaven Collins, B.J. Ojulari, Baron Browning, just to name a few. Xavier Thomas is in there, his old high school buddy. But yeah, I think that could be his, like we just mentioned with Simon.
Yeah.
Collins. Simon, like he could carve out a role similar like a Dennis Gardeck and then go from there. But I mean, if you're going to use them in special teams, why not try to
I think
flip it a little bit?
Yeah, and I think that's the key part. Master some other things as a rookie before we get to using you on special teams for fun. Because as much as we haven't seen the Cardinals sort of lean into the more interesting aspects of football, if you will, the more fun, confusion type things, I'd say the closest they've gotten to that recently on sort of a regular basis is even just putting Clayton Tune in. Yeah. To run it in. And it's like, is that all that exciting? I don't know.
And that could be Jacoby Brissett this year.
Which could be exciting. I'm a little bit more intrigued by the Jacoby Brissett element of it all than I was with the Clayton Tune element of it all.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Biggest impact as a rookie. Will Johnson, Walter Nolan, the third.
Walter Nolan.
Why?
Because I have hang-ups about Will Johnson.
Okay.
And
what are those hang-ups?
Injuries.
Okay.
His ability to stay on the field.
Injuries.
Yeah. Injuries.
Yep.
And his ability to stay on the field. There's your ASMR for this podcast. But that in mind, I'm a little worried. I know that he came out, he's in his YouTube girly era. I know he's putting out, can I say that? You seemed shocked by that.
I didn't expect to hear that full phrase. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's in his YouTube girly era because he's putting out videos of him during the off season. And he quite recently dropped one in which he was talking about how he was angry about the fact that his knee injuries became public because he didn't think it was a big deal when it happened. And that to me rings like two separate things. It's okay, if he wasn't worried about it, then that's good. Then, like, we shouldn't be worried about it.
Or that it got out.
That it got out. That is something that happened, and he was holding on to it or wasn't revealing it or how it became public.
Yep.
All of those things sort of have a little bit of cause for concern for me. So with that in mind, I still think he could have an amazing rookie season as long as he stays healthy and can stay on the field and his conditioning's proper. I'm not worried about it. JG said that he was not worried about it because of that. So fingers crossed that I will come around on his health. With that in mind, I then pivot to my answer being Walter Nolan. I think he could be more of the breakout candidate because of that. He doesn't have as many health concerns. His concerns pre-draft were all character related. And if you want people who will squash that out of you, it's JG and Monty Ossenfort. So with that in mind, and also the Cardinals talked about a bunch during pre-draft drafting high character guys.
Yeah.
How do they evaluate if you're a high character player? And they ran through sort of tests, if you will, about how they do that. And with that in mind, if Nolan passed, then okay, I trust it. And so I'm looking for him to have a little bit more of a breakout season.
Okay. I didn't expect you to go that way
Oh,
at all.
okay.
I thought you were going full Will Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's very upset, very PO'd because of, just from how he talked to us after getting drafted. Like, great moment. Just getting drafted is great, but you can tell he has got some fire. He is ready to show the rest of the league. For that reason, and because the depth chart is a little bit, I think, clearer for him to have a more prominent role right away, I'm going Will Johnson, just because that's your shutdown corner if he's healthy. And
Yeah.
you said it, injury concerns, that's definitely there. The fact that he said he's fine, Monty said he's fine and good with their evaluations. I'm going to trust the medicals of the people who do that for a living for a team, a scout. So I'm going to go with it until we see otherwise. I mean, let's see if he's not out there at rookie minicamp, maybe we start making some questions. But it sounds like he is fully healthy. Sounds like he's good to go. Sounds like he's past all of these things. So you take the health side of it out. I mean, that was the biggest knock on him. The guy's a pick six waiting to happen. Dave Sears, assistant GM, talked about how, yeah, he's a pick six waiting to happen, but he is a coverage fool who can guard the top of the top. And that's something the Cardinals didn't have last year. I think Max Melton's on his way. Starling Thomas is a diamond in the rough, undrafted guy. Sean Murphy-Bunting, a veteran. But, I mean, Garrett Williams, CB1 in my opinion right now. Will Johnson could be that next guy. I think Garrett Williams is a lockdown nickel, but you still have to have that shut down. You know you can go guard the best guy on the team and have a fighting chance. And I think Johnson gives this team that because the other thing, he's huge. It's like 6'2". He's one of the bigger dudes. Elijah Jones, who's been on our podcast, those are the two tallest dudes on the team now. That alone, the physical attributes plus his explosive ability. Explosive, that's one of the buckets for the Cardinals. It just makes too much sense. And with Walter, nothing against Walter, but he's got Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais, Darius. I mean, you really want to get into it. Dante Stills, LJ Collier coming off season high or career seasons. Like, there's a lot more of a climb for Walter, even though he's a first round pick and should eventually be a starter, to make that impact as big as maybe what a Johnson could do right away.
I also think it's easier for somebody like Johnson to have more impact immediately. He's in a little bit more of a flashier position where you can sort of monitor their output more than that of Nolan. But
yeah, because if you're an inside guy and you're not, I mean, you don't have to be getting stats, but if you're blocking, if you're making sure run lanes are clogged, like, you're doing your job.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's not the flashy thing to sit and talk about and go, okay, wow, look at how he blocked that guy.
Yep.
You know, we don't sit here on this podcast and talk about it. Now, if Will Johnson has a pick six, we're going to sit and talk 20 minutes on his pick six. Yeah. So it's easier to monitor his output that way. That being said, I'm still looking for a lot from Nolan. You're a first round guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Got to produce. All right, let's flip back to offense. Hayden Connor, the only offensive draft pick by the Cardinals in the draft. Where's he going to be? Is he going to be in the mix for right guard? What do you think? Getting to training camp, let's say in training camp, heart of the battles, is he in the mix or is he a depth piece?
He's a depth piece. I think he's a depth piece. I think by training camp, he could be in the battles, but by the time that we actually progress past training camp, we'll realize he's a depth guy.
Okay.
I am excited for him in the fact that that's Drew Petzing's only new toy to play with and figure out how to make that work for them. So that being said, if you're the only offensive guy that they draft, they're looking at you to make an impact or at least fill some sort of gap that they know that this team has. And I think that that's true. Do I think he's going to be competing for starting roles right out the gate? No. Do I think he could mix in with the ones and twos during training camp? Yes. But I think once that's over, we'll sort of see his role more solidified as a depth guy.
Yeah, I like that too. I think with how it's currently constructed, there's a lot of confidence in Isaiah Adams being the guy. 5 starts last year to end the year, didn't miss a snap during that stretch. Will Hernandez is still out there, and it's going to be a name I continue to talk about until he gets signed somewhere, whether it be here or somewhere else, that would fill the need. I mean, you'd be so set at guard if you had Will back as a starter, Isaiah Adams right behind him, who will be the eventual starter, and go from there. John Gaines is still there too. We just haven't seen enough of him, hasn't played enough, was injured as a rookie. I think there's a world where Connor does find his way in that mix, but yeah, when you come down to it, I think unless something happens with Isaiah Adams and he takes a big step backwards, it's really his job to lose now. So I do see him in the mix, but it might be, hey, today we're going to try him at the ones just to see. We're going to give him 5 snaps here, something like that, just to mix it in because we know they love to do that. Beyond that, I'm not so sure that could be the case. But again, if the competition isn't there in that room, they could be looking for somebody like him to push the envelope.
And that's something the Cardinals love to do is go out there and just sign guys for competition-based purposes. It's just to make that room feel a little bit more uncomfortable about their roles. And I think this offseason, who they signed was kind of the perfect sign of that. It's just making guys in rooms where they thought maybe their starting jobs were really secure or they knew what was expected of them a little less secure.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's go take one from Kellen. Got to get his answer or question in. All right. Is a year 2 jump more important for Trey Benson or Tip Ryman? It's a good question.
It's a good question. And I think that the answer is obvious when you start to break down the roster. And I think that's Trey Benson.
Okay.
Because that is such a question mark after James Connor.
Yes.
Like, what's going to happen with the running back position as a whole? How will the Cardinals run their offense around the running back position? Will they have to sort of switch things up because Trey Benson and James Connor, how they've used them so far, have not been in similar roles?
Yep.
So will they have to change how they do things if they bring Trey Benson in, full time eventually as the starting running back?
Yeah.
Also, just age. James Connor's older than Trey McBride, who Tip Ryman would then be competing with. So in terms of roster stability, you're going to see turnover at the running back position before you see it at the tight end position. And because of that, I think you need to see that bigger jump from Trey Benson. The Cardinals were really secretive, if you will, about how they were going to use him last offseason heading into the regular season. And by the time that we got to the regular season, I think a lot of us were underwhelmed by Trey Benson's usage.
Yep.
And that being said, he's the one that needs to make that bigger jump because there's more riding on the future of that position.
Yeah. I'm not concerned about Tip Ryman putting somebody else in the dirt because he's a blocking tight end more than anything else. That's what he's here for. He knows how to do that. He's fine.
He's my Illinois guy.
Of course he
I got huge support for him and what he does.
Can't believe you didn't pick him. Trey Benson, though, we've got to see more, like you just said. How can he complement James Conner this year while also maybe taking more of the mantle of I'm going to be the guy moving forward for years to come? I think he's got to improve his ability as a pass catcher. I think if he can open up that part of his game a little bit more and still have those home run type like runs after the catch, that would do wonders in kind of giving him the, like the Chase Edmonds addition that they used to have.
Yeah.
Something like that.
A little bit more versatile.
A little more versatile. Can do it in the pass game, can also do it in the running game if you have to put it on him. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is that almost Chase Edmonds trajectory. Can he get on that? Because if he can, I think that would do wonders. Because then you get a little bit more of Kyler Murray running, a little bit more of Trey Benson getting involved, a little less of James Conner, but still effective when you need him. That's going to be a top 5 offense, at least running.
Yeah, and a little bit more of if Kyler Murray's uncomfortable in the pocket, we've got a little bit more flexibility where we can go. Yep. Do I need to quickly dump this off? Is it okay if I, shovel pass it down the field for 2 yards and try to see what happens with that play? If he opens up, it opens up the offense to a little bit more of that crunch time offense.
Yep. I like that. Yeah, and just that improving his blocking ability a little bit more too. And we'll get into this next question because we're going to mention Amari DeMercado, but if you can fill that need and be that guy that can not only be a game changer in the passing and running game, but also block as in pass pro, you might be finding the field a lot more. So with that, last question of the rookie minicamp questions, and we're going to the undrafted side of things. We are looking at, of the 6, I believe that is 6, who has the best chance at cracking the 53-man roster?
And who do you think that is?
For me, so let's give a rundown real quick. Ohio
Yeah.
State tackle Josh Fryer, which you can't have a coach with the last name Fry without a Fryer, and they're both from Ohio State. It
yeah.
all makes sense. Offensive line, yeah, it's okay.
It's a full circle moment here.
Yep. UConn tackle Valentine Sin, who is the replacement for Psycho as the International Player Pathway Program participant.
Signee.
Yep. UTSA tight end Oscar Cárdenas, no relation to Felisa, who is our videographer. Tennessee defensive tackle Elijah Simmons. And Wisconsin wide receiver Bryson Green. And that's where we're stopping, but that's also where we're starting, because that's the guy who I think has the best chance at cracking the 53-man roster, because wide receiver was not addressed this offseason. And as it's not a top of the line, I think guard was still number one in my book. Wide receiver was up there as like, hey, some new blood would not hurt. Push the envelope a little bit there. Get some guys in there to compete. Marvin Harrison Jr., think he is in for a breakout year. But when you look at the other guys, Michael Wilson was healthier last year but put up similar numbers. That can't be the case. You got to be able to, like, he had, I think, 13 games his rookie year, 16 games this past year. You got to be able to produce a little bit more and not put up similar numbers. Greg Dortch, more of a return man in my opinion now. I think he's good in the slot whenever they get him the ball, but that's the thing. When do they get him the ball? And then Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones could make an impact on this team, but will he ever get a chance? Similar like Dortch, like he just doesn't get the chances. So for me, maybe this guy Bryson Green, 6'3", 213 pounds, out of Wisconsin. I think he was actually Allen, Texas native too. So you've got the connection to Kyler there. But at Oklahoma State, he had 48 receptions, 723 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And yeah, I mean, his college best was 30, or no, I already said it. Or that was for his across Oklahoma State. Yes. Then he went to Wisconsin, had 49 receptions and 699 yards, found the end zone 4 times. So he can produce. And I think for me, what I look at is his yards per catch. When you look at his last couple of seasons, they were in the 14, 15 range, I believe. And really, I think Marvin was the only one in the 14 range for the Cardinals to just get somebody to stretch the field a little bit more. And I think it's going to be a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah.
You look at Amari DeMercado, you look at Starling Thomas. They have carved out roles that probably not a lot of people thought they were going to have. Can Green be the next guy?
And that's also in sort of this, I mean, Big Ten battle, obviously. He knows Marvin Harrison Jr., he knows Will Johnson.
Yeah.
They all play in the same conference. But that being said, you brought up a really great point about the competition. We talked about how the competition was important being thrown into the lineman rooms. And that competition did not happen this offseason in the wide receiver room. So now everybody can kind of sit back and be like, okay, I know I'm wide receiver 1. I know I'm wide receiver 2. and
that can't be the case.
And that can't be the case
Nope.
when the wide receiver room, generally speaking, last year underperformed.
Yep.
There was a lot left on the table. There were a lot of question marks surrounding who do we have as a deep threat? Who's Kyler's favorite target? Who's the most reliable guy when we really need something to happen? How can that happen? It's Trey McBride.
But it's not in the wide receiver
Trey
room.
McBride's not a wide receiver. Now, I'm happy that they found usage, obviously, for Trey McBride. The tight ends room, that seems to be a room in general that's really thriving and figuring out their roles exactly, which is why, to the last question, I didn't answer Tip Ryman, because I feel like that role's figured out.
Oh, yeah. He knows what he's
He's
doing.
good. He knows it's mashing guys into the turf and moving on.
And smiling.
And he's doing a great job doing it. And doing
remembering-
pottery.
And remembering that baby pigeons are real.
Yes, as he said right after, he's like, no, I know they're real. I know they're real. But the versatility that we also just talked about with Trey Benson, like finding a little bit more versatility in that room, finding a little bit more competition, something that might, increase this offensive production. I think is the exact same argument you can make for that wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be a little bit more versatility in this room. There needs to be a little bit more of a clear-cut wide receiver one.
Yeah.
We want it to be Marvin Harrison Jr. It is Marvin Harrison Jr., but he was just a rookie last year. Like, this is why he needs to make a huge jump year 2. It's also why all eyes will be on Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
Can you be that wide receiver 2? Because you just sat over there and said, will Zay Jones make an impact? No offense to Zay Jones.
That's what I said last year, too.
But if that's what we're talking about, like, there needs to be a change there.
Yeah. So, okay, real quick, let's just look at Michael Wilson's stats from last few years. 13 games and as a rookie, 38 catches, 565 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last year, 71 targets, 47 catches, 548 yards with 4 touchdowns. It's just with 3 more games played.
Mm-hmm.
Less yardage, 1 more touchdown, 9 more catches. I mean, it's just should be a little bit better. You gotta show out in year 3.
And the big thing is those are statistics for a wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that can't.
No, that's not wide receiver 2 caliber output in the NFL, especially when your wide receiver 1 last year was a rookie.
Yep.
So it's a no excuses year for the wide receiver room as a whole.
Yeah, and clearly the Cardinals are confident in what they have in that room because it wasn't really addressed. So
no, and there were plenty of talented wide receivers in the draft. Taken just a few picks before the Cardinals or a few picks right after the Cardinals. They even did their trade down and just went, no, we're not taking anybody. We're not taking anybody to add to this wide receivers room, which means that they're feeling pretty confident in it.
Yep.
So we've got to see if it can actually have the output that we're all expecting, especially in a year where all eyes are on Kyler Murray again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And to an extension, his chemistry with his wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's a lot of rookie talk. I think we just need to get him on the field now, and we'll go from there.
Yep. And then we can judge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can judge. All right. Well, another episode down. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. You can follow the show at AZ Cards Corner. You can follow me at TDrake for Sports. Follow Lauren at Koval_Lauren. As always, let us know what you think about the show, what we could do better at, what you would like to hear more on. Always down to hear some feedback. And with that, will we be back? We will be back next week. I will not be back next week, though.
No.
I have some dad duty to attend to. So, Lauren, I'm handing the keys off to you.
Oh, no. Am I allowed to sit in that chair?
You can sit in the chair for
Okay.
2 weeks. That's it. And then
Okay.
got to hand it right back. But handing it off to you.
Thank
You've got
you.
it. So be sure to keep it locked. Arizona Sports app, 98.7, ArizonaSports.com, on YouTube, Cardinals Corner, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where we'll be. And I won't be there. But Lauren.
But I'll be here.
And maybe some special guests will be here. So definitely don't go anywhere. And we will catch you next time. Thanks for stopping by.